Alrighty guys, so today I'm going to give you a full walkthrough of the Bridger Reckon smartwatch. My name is Cody Rich. I'm the founder of Bridger, and this kind of started as me solving my personal problem. But first I want to dive into like who this is for or why we built this a little bit. So we set out to build the absolute best smartwatch for the hunting community. Personally, myself, I diehard hunter, been hunting my entire life, spend a lot of days in the mountains, and few years back, I got into trail running. And for me, like everyone, you wanted to get one of the fancy smartwatches that does, tracking for all your fitness and your trail runs and all of those things and track your sleep and all of those. And it was great. I bought a watch and it worked great for those things. It did those really well. But when I started using it for the hunting side, which I actually spent quite a bit more money because I wanted a watch that could double as a tool that I could use in the backcountry when I'm hunting or on hunts and things like that. And I was pretty frustrated with it. So for me, I looked at it and I said, man, I think we could build a better smartwatch for the hunting community. So that's what the Bridger Reckon really is. We didn't set out to build the absolute best cycling watch. We set out to build the best hunting watch. And we built some unique features into this watch that I think hunters are going to love that definitely do not exist in the market. That said, this is a full functioning, full featured smartwatch that does pretty much everything you'd expect from a premium smartwatch. So it does health tracking, fitness tracking, performance tracking. It can record all of those things. We just built some features that hunters are gonna love a little bit better than anyone else. And we made everything a little easier to get to. So this watch, very much for the guy who absolutely loves hunting, lives, eats, sleeps, breathes hunting, and is looking for a better option from a smartwatch. So that's who this is for. A little bit about the backstory. I told you I was a big hunter, and I started trail running, and I was pretty frustrated with the product. The real idea from this was when I was out, I was actually turkey hunting, and spending a lot of time pulling out my phone, looking at Onyx every 5 minutes, and kind of had this aha moment where I was very unimpressed with the mapping capability that was in the watch I had. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be sweet if I could just look at my watch and not have to pull out my phone 100 times a day? And that was kind of the very early beginnings of it. Called a few people just to see if that was possible. And the more we went down this rabbit hole, the more opportunity I saw. The more times I looked at it and said, man, I pull out my phone 100 times a day. I'm constantly worried about the battery. I'm constantly worried I'm going to lose my phone. All of these things that all of the current watches didn't really solve for me. And I thought there was a better way to build things that were specific to the hunting community, the hunting lifestyle. So for me, that's what we set out to build. And we built everything from the ground up. And we'll talk a little bit about the hardware because we spent years developing and designing this watch. And man, it was a journey. So in order to do what we wanted to do, to get battery life, to have offline mapping, to do all of these things, the features we wanted, we had to build everything from the ground up. So we had to build our own hardware, firmware, software, everything, which is a huge undertaking if you know anything about these type of products. Fortunately, I was pretty naive in the whole process, and so I said, sure, let's do that. And I hired really, really smart people. And honestly, we've been super fortunate, like serendipity, luck, timing, whatever you want to call it. We've had some amazing teams that have helped us along the way, even down to like the design. We went through 6 different designers, and I was very picky about the actual design and the hardware of this. To me, it had to look like a premium watch. It had to be something I was going to wear every day. It had to be something that not only was durable and could take a beating on a mountain goat hunt, but it had to be something that I could still wear every single day, even on date night or something like that. And so, the design was very important to me. And we spent a lot of time. We knew we wanted the square look. And that was very intentional because to me, the mapping capabilities were first and foremost. I wanted this watch to have the best mapping capabilities. And in order to do that, I knew that the rectangle face or the screen would be crucial to that and how you see the maps. Because I'm used to seeing maps on my phone. And so I wanted that ability in the watch. I also knew that it had to have great battery life. And so ironically, just by going with this rectangular shape, we were able to get incredible battery life out of this. And it went into size as well. So this watch is about a 50 millimeter. So it sits slightly narrower than, say, a Garmin 5.1 and a little bit taller. And so it's pretty close to the Garmin 5.1, which was what I was wearing before. And so this is about a 50 millimeter. The screen size is pretty close to the Apple Ultra at a 197. So it is really close to like an Apple Ultra. So think of an Apple Ultra with a case on it, a very, very similar look and size comparison. I think there will be smaller ones in the future. So if you're out there and you're like, man, I cannot wear a 50 millimeter watch, totally understand. But there's a couple trade-offs you make with that. So we will have smaller ones in the future. But I mean, you can go look at any of the competitors' websites and look at the difference in battery life between, say, a 51 millimeter and a 47 millimeter. You're going to lose almost 10 days of battery life. So the battery size was important. We wanted to be we wanted to have a big screen so you could see your maps. That was crucial. I knew if we had a really small watch, some people would be very frustrated with that experience. So it was important that we had a big screen. It was important that we had touchscreen as well. So to be able to pan on the map is one of the big advantages of this watch. And so this uses the AMOLED screen, which is popular among premium watches, but the ability to use the touchscreen and pan around is unsurmounted or uncompared to anything else. And so I will touch on that when we talk about unique features that we built into this. But just in the hardware side, the AMOLED screen, sapphire glass, and titanium bezel is such a great combination. This is very durable, very impact resistant, very scratch proof. Like, we wanted the absolute best in premium. And then when it comes to design, even, the button layout to me was so incredibly important. I was very frustrated with other products. Personally, and there's a little bit in the UI side of that, but like personally with just depending on the button layout and how things worked, I really struggled with the other watches. And so I wanted to keep it very simple. And so on our button design, keeping it to where it was a 4-button design with up, down, select on here, select and back, up, down, select and back. Like, that's so easy to remember and know what those buttons do. And for us, it was like that kind of played into how we wanted to design this watch. We also knew we wanted interchangeable bands, so you can switch out. This is a 26 millimeter quick connect band, so you can actually switch this out. You can use aftermarket ones if you wanted. There's a number of them on the market. So we have some leather bands. We have these FKM bands, and probably have some more nylon type bands, straps in the future. So if you're spending a lot of time taking your pack on and off and you want something that's just like absolutely never going to fail, the Velcro nylon bands are a great option for that. If you're doing a lot more fitness stuff or you want to take them on and off, the ability to basically change out the bands was important, and we wanted to make sure we had that. We also built in the flashlight into the top of this watch, which is a really cool feature. Honestly, was a must-have for me, and one of those features that I use constantly. I use every single day almost, and so having a flashlight on the watch was kind of a must-have for me. We did put it in the top. A lot of feedback from other people said, well, I would love it if it came out this side or something like that. There becomes a problem when you really start to design these things, because some people wear it on the right hand, some people wear it on the left hand, and so it's just basically has to be on the top. It's kind of the only logical option when you weigh it all out. But yeah, it's got a great little flashlight on it. We actually did 2 different colors, white and red. So yeah. All right, let's talk about the UI. And it's pretty simple, but I do think that this is one of the biggest opportunities or improvements that we made over, say, a lot of the smartwatches on the market. Personally, I was pretty frustrated with the UI experience on a lot of the watches that were available or that I had tested. For me, it was always hard to get to things, always hard to remember where things were. And I get it. Like, at the end of the day, these big tech companies are trying to make a watch for everyone in the world, for cyclists, for rock climbers, for the tactical crew, and it's like, really, it's hard to make all of those things readily available. from our perspective, it was like, okay, let's make the hunt features easy to get to, top front center, and like, but make the entire watch more navigable than anything else that was on the market. I think personally that starts with button design. So for me, the 5 buttons was difficult. 4 buttons makes more sense to me. Maybe I'm just a simple brain, but having up, down, select, and back, make it super simple. And then, we built this layout to where it's like you can go to different things. So I can go to my mapping, I can go to my activities, I can go to my fitness metrics, and I can go to my control panel, right? And all of those things are very easy to get to, very easy to remember where they are personally. But I think that's one of the biggest things I like about it. It's definitely the thing I was most frustrated with when it came to other watches. So I think our UI design is very simple, user-friendly, and first and foremost, it's easy to get to the tools we actually use. So when we talk about mapping, from a home screen, I hit my up button and I'm automatically in mapping. It's not like I have to go find maps. I understand why maps are buried in other products. It's just not front and center. Most people don't care about their maps. Like when you talk about the average runner who lives in San Diego, probably doesn't care about offline mapping, right? And so we built that to where it was like easy to get to with one click of the button. Same with Ballistics. Like for me, Ballistics, it was like it has to be one swipe or one button click from the home screen. Got to be able to get there instantly. And so like those are the things that when we say like built by hunters for hunters, like be able to get to my Ballistics with just button pushes. 3 button pushes, I can get to my Ballistics and I'm there, right? Like that is crucial. And that's not something big tech was going to build for us. And so we set out to. And I think that's honestly one of my favorite things about the watch is the ability to use it and get to things easily, and the UI. We'll see what everyone else thinks. But so far, I think people have been pretty impressed with that piece of it. It's just easy to use. I wanted a watch that was easy to use, so we built one. All right, let's talk about the main feature. The main reason we built this, what is the USP? Why is the Reckon watch better than every other watch on the market? And it's mapping, hands down. I believe, I know we have the best mapping of any wearable out there. Now, is this as good as your phone? Is this going to replace Onyx on your phone? Absolutely not. What we're doing is cutting edge, but it is never gonna have the compute power of, say, your phone and the ability to do everything that a phone app can do. So just wanna put that out there first and foremost. But what we are doing is, I think, the best redundancy you could ever have. Again, how many times have we been worried about our phone dying or losing it or any of those things? Having your maps saved to a wearable, something that's strapped to my arm and has great battery life, so it's not going to die on a hunt, is so important to me. And that was the reason that was the North Star we set out to build. And I think we did it better than any other wearable in the market because honestly, we know how to use maps. We know how hunters use maps. And there's a few things that we did. So we built our entire operating system to be able to do offline mapping. For the record, you'll see a lot of ads with integrates with Onyx, and I'll get into that. These are our maps. So we set out to build the best wearable maps on the market. And so we did that. And so when you download your maps, you're actually going to download them with the Bridger app. You're going to save, and these are topo only for now, but like you're going to save your maps in your app and push them to your watch. Those are going to be your base maps. And we're using Mapbox maps. And Mapbox is a great tool, has really great maps. I would say most of the companies out there are using some version of Mapbox, either as their viewer or as their maps, and then they're expanding upon that. Is there potential in the future to do something more with partners? Absolutely. And I think it's kind of a crawl, walk, run, but we had to start somewhere. And for me, we had to have at least the best topo maps ever built for a wearable. Where things are better than anyone else is just we built them very differently, and we did that by the ability to save your offline map. So very similar to how you would do it in Onyx, but you do it in the Bridger app. For clarification, is you save your maps, right? So I'm going to save this entire hunting area, and I'm going to save my little squares so I have it. And now I could sync my watch with my maps and have those maps saved to this device that are standalone. we thought it was really important that we had our own maps. If we're going to be the best maps, best wearable for maps, we wanted to have our own mapping capabilities and have that. And so we do. And I think they work great. I love them. They're for what we want to do. They're great as a starter, and they're only going to get better from here. What we're doing is definitely pushing the cutting edge for wearables, and that's our focus. Like, we're going to build the best mapping wearable there's ever been, and I think we are already there as far as what's on the market. And why it's unique and special is we built our maps so that you can have multiple zoom layers. You can have infinite pan. You can actually use your maps. As a hunter, we're constantly navigating off trail. We're constantly trying to figure out where we're going to go, up a ridge, up a coulee, whatever it may be. And so you're looking for waypoints. You're trying to see, okay, if I'm getting to that glassing knob, where is it at? Am I on the right ridge? All of those things. And we built this, and this is really the only wearable in the world that can do it, is to be able to pan and look and use your maps the way you use them to find things, right? To check where the truck is, all of those things. And so our mapping capability is definitely our bread and butter. That's what makes this watch unique and special and better than anything else on the market. And there's a lot more to come. So there's a bunch of cool features coming, but you can set waypoints in here. You can run your tracks. You can do all of those things. The really special thing is, we went to Onyx, and for all of us as hunters, everyone in the office lives and dies by their Onyx account because I have 20 years of data inside my Onyx account. The first thing I do when I get to a trailhead, or maybe I park randomly off some road, is I'm going to set a waypoint in my Onyx account. The integration that we built with Onyx is pretty cool. It has the ability to share those waypoints, tracks, markups, all of that right to your Bridger. And it goes over our base topo maps, but your points, your waypoints are all going to come in stylized, how you have them styled in Onyx with the the waypoint icon and all of those things. But the cool thing is it also works offline. So when I park my truck, I set a waypoint in my Onyx account on my phone. Now I can export it, share it to my Bridger app, and sync it to my watch offline. It takes seconds. And now if I lose my phone or it dies while I'm out there, I always have a backup. And in the backcountry, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And this is truly what I had a vision for, was like the ability to not only set a waypoint here and be able to push it to the watch offline, but to also say, okay, here's all of my glassing points. Here's all my wallows. Here's all my whatever. Save a folder, export it to the watch. I'm still going to use my phone and my Onyx and all of those things constantly, but I love having a redundancy to my maps saved, and it's strapped to my wrist that I'm not going to lose it. That was the biggest thing we wanted to build and the most important, and we want to do that right. And so that's what the watch does. That's how it works. If you have questions about that, we'll do a ton of videos kind of deep diving into just the mappings, but that's a good overview of just like how it works, how it integrates with Onyx, and why we built it. Let's talk about just hunt specific features. So a lot of people say, why this watch over XYZ, right? There's a ton of features. This does everything. It does your fitness tracking, health tracking, sleep tracking, all of that. It has better maps than any watch on the market, but there's also a few other hunting features. We built ballistics into this, and we built it very differently than anything that was on the market. In my just personal opinion, I didn't think the way ballistics were done in other wearables was the best way. It wasn't how I used them. And I talked to a lot of friends. For me, I've always just had my dope card saved as the background on my phone. And that's a great redundancy, but it also has limitations. Like you're constantly trying to look at your phone, open your phone, make sure the screen stays alive. I'm trying to set up, trying to figure out what the range is. Half the time my phone's phone scoping on my spotting scope so that I can't find it. So I wanted the ability to not necessarily do ballistic calculations on the watch. I didn't think that was ever necessary personally, but I wanted to be able to use the ballistics apps that I use in my phone and just have this as a redundancy. 2 is 1, 1 is none. And so we built a really cool way to have like a ballistics viewer. And this ballistic viewer is going to work with pretty much any of your apps that you have, your ballistics apps. Right now, we have a direct integration with Sierra's True Data. So shout out to those guys for helping us out and putting it in their app. So if you go into Sierra Barnes's True Data app, you can save your ballistics profile, your gun, your elevation, all those things, and you can export that directly to the watch. So I have my 7 PRC saved in here, and when I want to dial right to the watch, I can just hit down twice, hit select, and now this is the ballistics for my 7 PRC. Everything works with touch button as well, and so I can just dial right to the yardage I want and confirm my MOA, if you will. If I want to have multiple gun profiles, I can do that. If I want to see the entire range card, I can do that. A bunch of really cool ways to use ballistics in here. Again, even as just a redundancy, I think it's great just to have another device that has my ballistics saved. It kind of replaces the old taping the ballistics to the side of the gun that I used to do, and I have it right here. But the cool thing is now I can just dial right to it. So that's a really cool hunting feature that we built. Another one is Redshift. Again, we didn't invent this, but I really liked Redshift in other devices. And as a hunter, we're constantly navigating at night, constantly in the dark. And, I tend to not use my headlamp that much. I'm trying to save my night vision as much as I can. And so the ability to switch the watch over to Redshift, which is only going to use red light, this is going to not affect my night vision as much. So when I'm operating at night, switch to Redshift, and I have the ability to, use my maps, say. I mean, how many times have we been hiking out in the dark and you're like, oh, there's a truck this way, and you're pulling out your phone and screwing up your night vision, your night vision, and the ability to see at night, right? So having Redshift was something that was a must-have for me. I think if we had to call a fourth thing is the flashlight. I love having a flashlight. That's a very unique feature that I use pretty much all the time. But if in the case where I forget my headlamp, or maybe I just don't want to run a headlamp, I have now a flashlight on the watch as well. There's some other things like the watch does weather, the watch has an alarm clock, and things like that are pretty useful. But ultimately, those are kind of the big 3 features that we built specifically for hunting. And again, going back to the UI, we wanted you to be able to get to them quickly and easily. So I hit my up button, I'm right in my maps. I can stay in maps. Maps aren't going to time out on me like in other devices. And then if I want ballistics, it's 3 button clicks or a swipe, and I'm right in my ballistics. I want to check my altitude, I can put it right under there. So I'm constantly checking my altitude or my barrow, like things like that. I can prioritize that, like, these are the things we wanted in the watch. So those are kind of the unique hunt features we built. All right, so outside of hunt features, this watch, again, full functioning smartwatch. It does your notifications, it does text messages and phone calls. Now, we should specify this does not have cellular service like an Apple Watch, so it can't make calls on its own, but it Bluetooths to your phone so you can get your text messages, you can get your phone call notifications, things like that, which works great. So it does that. It does weather tracking, it does health tracking, fitness tracking, sleep tracking. It does your fitness activities, pretty much endless is what you can think of it. It has a compass. It has all of the sunrise, sunset, and things like that you would expect from a watch. So this is a full functioning smartwatch. And to be clear, we don't expect you to buy this just for hunting season. I built a watch that I could wear year round, and that's what it does. It does pretty much everything you would expect out of a premium smartwatch. And a lot of things coming too. You talk about music integrations, Strava connections coming very soon. A lot of cool things that are coming and what we can develop. And I think the important part is these are all just software updates. So we have been updating like crazy. We're probably going to be on an every other week. We've been doing every week updates, but it'll probably move to more of a every other week. And maybe it moves to monthly, like a lot of the other players. But I think right now, bi-weekly, you'll be getting updates. A lot of cool features coming. If you get this watch, it's not like it's going to get outdated next week when we push some new feature and it won't be capable. This watch is capable of doing it all. So it is a full functioning smartwatch that does pretty much everything you'd expect in a watch. All right, let's talk about battery life. So battery life right now, let's talk first size. This battery is a 956 milliamp battery, which is one of the biggest batteries on the market. Now, as a new watch, you're learning a lot of things about software, and we're trying to make updates and tweaks. And battery life is one of those things you're constantly navigating and trying to dial in. The cool part about that is pretty much all of the battery life boils down to software and updates, which is kind of cool. It's also frustrating from our perspective because you can do one thing and instantly, you're burning more battery and you should be burning less. And so, we're constantly battling that. Right now, I'm getting about 14 days out of this smartwatch, but I think the capability is much, much higher. And even with that, right now, a lot of our focus is on improving that battery life. And the word on the street internally is that by mid-August, before hunting season, we will be in the 20 to 25 day range, which, they have the path. It's just a lot of work to fix a few things. And so that's where we're at. We're at 14 days. By hunting season, we're pretty hopeful we'll be 20 to 25 days. But honestly, I think we'll be over 30 days, in the coming months. And so a lot of updates coming with battery life and making improvements, optimizations. Realistically, what it boils down to is you got to keep optimizing. It's a giant software base, essentially. You kind of keep optimizing and tweaking things to make sure you're getting the most efficient use of battery. What that equates to, and one of the things we did was building multiple battery modes. So having different battery modes for different things. And so we're continually working on those things, but having different battery modes allows you to adjust heart rate and allows you to say like, okay, while I'm hunting. One of the things that we've said from the beginning and our North Star is like, this has got to last the entire hunt. And so optimizing for that is crucial. A lot of the other smartwatches are optimizing for heart rate and getting your metrics on an event, right? And so if we say like you're doing a ruck or a run or a triathlon or any of those things, like that's what that watch is designed to do. This watch is designed to be a lifestyle watch. Absolutely drove me nuts that other watches on the market have like a hunt mode. Anyone who's a hunter knows there's no start hunt. Like we don't start a hunt. It just is what we do. And we spend weeks doing it. And so the ability to manage that battery life in a non-event, which is like, okay, I'm running maps, I'm doing things. I can set this watch into a battery mode where I don't necessarily care about maybe heart rate every 5 seconds, but I want to be able to run my maps. I want to be able to run tracks. I want to be able to do those things. And so like our North Star has been, I go to Alaska for 10 days and I want this watch to be able to last. Now, obviously I could take a charger and it charges very quick, takes like 30, 40 minutes to charge this watch. So, maybe if I was on a 20-day hunt and I needed to charge it one time during that hunt, I probably wouldn't be too concerned about it. But that's definitely a North Star for me, is like being able to last 10 days in the backcountry, running maps, running tracks, doing those things. And so battery life is one of the things we're focused on. I think that's one of the things we could improve, if I'm really honest, is like that's a ton of the engineering focus right now, besides getting everything working great for hunting season, is battery life. Focus on that battery life. It's been our North Star and it will be our North Star. And we have the capability to do it. We have the chipsets, we have the battery size. I mean, we have a ton of battery size just from the design and the size of our actual watch. So it's one of those things that we're improving constantly. And I look forward to it because I do think that we can have the best battery on the market. And I'm going to hold the team to accomplishing that. All right, let's jump into kind of the frequently asked questions that I get. I think that one of the biggest questions is size. We talk about it a little bit. I like the size personally. If a 51 millimeter watch, whatever brand you're looking at, is too big for you, then yeah, I mean, maybe this one is too big. We'll have a smaller one in the future. First and foremost, I wanted to make sure maps were usable and battery life was sufficient to last. Like the last thing I wanted that failing on people. So size, I like the size personally, but there will be a smaller one in the future, and I'll kind of show you. We should do a size comparison video, but I mean, honestly, I think this watch looks great. I love the look, and we get that a lot. I think people really like the look and feel of it. It is on the bigger side of watches, but I kind of like the bigger watches. So that's a question we get a lot. Another question we get a lot is, where can I see this, try it on, all of those things. So as of recording this, we should be in Schnee's downtown Bozeman will have a display, hoping by the end of August. If you guys want to come check out a watch, play with it, great, would love it. Maybe more in the future. So we're working with a bigger retailer. Hopefully by the end of the year, you guys will be able to check out those watches and see it. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of difficult to try on. And that's just one of the downsides of being a small D2C company in the beginning is trying to show people a watch. So yeah, hopefully Sinead, you might have to make a trip to Bozeman and come see us to try it on. Does it use Onyx? We get that all the time. Okay, so how does the Onyx, again, I touched on in the beginning, it is our base maps. The Onyx integration is for waypoints, tracks, markups, all of your content, right? So the ability to it. This watch does not have full functioning Onyx. So if you're expecting Onyx on your phone, level, app type situation, not gonna be it. The other question we get is public-private boundary. Currently, we do not have public-private boundary outside of, say, national forest versus private shading. So it does not have the Onyx, property information and those things, but it does have the shading as far as, say, the difference between BLM and private is going to be yellow and white. It's just not going to have all the private information on that. So if you're buying this watch and you're like, man, I really need to navigate this tight line, I think your phone's gonna be a better tool for that, honestly. If I'm really honest, like if you're not a watch guy and you're like, I want this watch so I don't, when I'm staring at my phone, walking a private line, probably still gonna be a better solution than the actual watch for that, if I'm being honest. Can I swim with it? Yes, watch is waterproof. Waterproof, dustproof, mostly indestructible. But yes, it is a 10 ATM watch, so you can, I wouldn't swim over 100 meters, but other than that, you should be fine. Does the watch work internationally? We get this question more than I would have thought. So yes, our maps do work internationally. We have not built out a lot of the maps. We've built out, say, Australia, New Zealand, but we haven't built out every country in the world as far as our maps go. So if you are a diehard and you say, I don't know, want to hunt somewhere special, Tajikistan. Ironically, I think we do have pretty good maps in Tajikistan in certain areas. So, yeah, it's coming. Right now, we're pretty focused on U.S. Canada market, so that's kind of been the focus. So it does work in Canada though. So if you want to check out the maps, you can even actually even just download our app and see what maps are available. You can play with it before you ever buy the watch. So a little hack: go download the Bridger app, download some maps, see what you think of them, and then those will be what you send to your Reckon watch anyway. So good way to test it out. Another question we get is Strava integrations of sorts. So, I mean, one of our core theses is to be able to integrate with the tools people actually use. And so, yes, we have multiple Ballistics integrations coming. We have the Onyx integration. We have kind of a Mountain Tough integration and more coming with that. Some really cool stuff working with Mountain Tough. But also, yes, Strava integration is very much coming. Should be pretty soon, actually. Team's been working on a few other things, but it's there. So a lot of those integrations are coming. Similar, the chest strap. We get the question a lot, like, does it integrate with my chest strap? It's coming. So it's coming. It shouldn't be too long. Another big question is, like, does it integrate with my Garmin InReach? Not currently. So if doesn't have the capability to integrate with your Garmin InReach. Another question we get is, does it integrate with dog collars? Not yet. I don't know. That's definitely on the roadmap in the future. Right now we're trying to solve, very specific problems, get a product to market that does one thing really well. And I know you guys have a ton of requests and like there's a million things you want us to do, but yeah, we're trying to tackle one at a time and do as many things well as we can. So working on a few of those things, but a lot of those integrations just aren't there yet. So if that's a deal breaker for you, totally apologize, but a lot of them are coming, I promise. So a lot of cool things coming. All right, so that gives you kind of the breakdown. We set out to build the absolute best watch for hunters, and I think we're well on our way, and we're just scratching the surface. So I think there's a lot of really cool things we do. We talk about Bridger as a company. Ultimately, I always wanted to, we're pretty wholly focused on the hunting community right now. Now, do I think that like runners are going to buy the watch? Sure. Are we going to build running features? Yeah. Like me and my friends, a lot of us in the office love to do trail running, things like that. So we're going to build cool features. We're constantly taking feedback from the community. It's a balancing act of like what to work on. But at the end of the day, we're here to build the absolute best watch for our community, and it takes a village to do that. It takes a lot of feedback from you guys, and we've gotten that. A lot of the feedback we get from people testing the watch, people using the watch, and those things we can implement very quickly over other bigger brands, big tech companies. And so that's what we're here to do, and we're going to build the best watch we possibly can, and it's going to be a fun journey. There, when we talk about roadmap, hard to say what everything, there's so much potential on what we could build. I'm really trying to stay focused as a founder and make sure we build something really truly great before we go trying to do other things and spread ourselves too thin. But ultimately, I would love to build the absolute best smartwatch for not just the hunting community, but wildland firefighters. We've talked to some really cool companies in the wildland firefighting space. To me, like that's just kind of core to who we are. And then to the military, we've had some great conversations with some tier 1 units, and a lot of their frustrations with smartwatches in general is things we shared as hunters. And so I think there's an opportunity to go build the best smartwatch for the military as well. Again, trying not to let that be a distraction to what our core business model is, but a lot of things coming, a lot of cool integrations coming, a lot of tech that I think is going to be surprising, and just kind of watching the horizon of what's getting developed. Very interesting. So, I mean, it's going to be a really cool journey, and just hope you guys want to join us in creating something cool. So appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you have questions, don't hesitate. Reach out, ask away, either on social media or our phone or any of those. If you have questions about the watch, would love any and all questions, but also feedback. If you have a watch, let us know what you think. How do we make it better? That's what we're here to do. We're here to build the best product we possibly can, and hopefully build a great brand and a great company along the way.